So just settle in a nice, comfortable seated posture. Feet, if you're down on the ground, feet about a hip's width apart. And for those of you with your feet down on the ground, just really try and get a sense of the sensation of the feet, the weight of the feet in the floor. If your feet are up or if you're kind of lying back, something, you can imagine maybe, you've got socks on or something like that, just to feel the sensations at the top of the foot and the sole of the foot. And feel the weight of your sits bones in your chair. Shoulders are aligned with the hips as best you can. And the ears, just lengthen and glide back to align with your shoulders. So the positioning of the head is kind of important if you're going to be meditating for long periods of time, that you don't get into this habit of dropping the head forward and rounding the shoulders. And this is also particularly as we get older, our muscles aren't holding us up quite as well. So it's good to try and focus on that. Because as soon as you start leaning forward, your body's all out of alignment. The head is every degree out of alignment you are, the head takes on an extra, a load for the rest of the body. It's also not great for your breathing, constricts your throat, the chest, the belly, bad for digestion, it goes on and on. So try and, as best you can, sit up. And then go to the crown of the head and just feel the sensations there. If there is any sensation there, maybe not. And just relax the scalp. And relax the forehead and the eyes and the nose and the cheeks and the area around the mouth, the back of the tongue, the ears. Relax the temples, relax the back of the head and the neck, and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down, and relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And just notice the sensation of the air as you inhale and exhale. And just be aware of any sounds in your environment. Just allow them to be there, trying not to follow with the mind. Particularly if they're nice sounds or if it's a sound that's not usual for this time of night in your home. And then maybe bring to mind the thoughts that are arising in your mind. Again, allow them to arise and to abide. And then maybe just to dissipate, float off, dissolve, erupt in bubbles, float away on a little white cloud. Whatever imagery works for you. That as opposed to engaging and following the story. Pretty much a lot of the time the story is highly, it leans towards your own belief system, and it may not be exactly correct. So we often torture ourselves with incorrect thinking. Take a step back and just look at what is there with just objectivity, the same kind of objectivity as scientists might, and curious. Just be happy to see, shine the light of awareness inside your mind. And don't be afraid. It's all good. And then bring to mind some people of your life, and they, could start with the ones we love. We have some, if you're fortunate enough to have a very deep and sweet, close relationship, friends, spouses, children, parents. And then there's people in our life who we don't really like. Maybe it's even best we keep away from them, but, they're there. We have aversion. And then there's our strangers. You can imagine they're all equal. And they wish to be happy. They wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So I think we'll do this practice this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. And as more photographs are coming down from Tame, where there was an outburst of the glacial, actually one glacial lake poured into another and it wasn't able to hold. So there was a glacial outbursting, took away most of Tame village, maybe 40 or 50%. There's a lot of damage. It's going to take a lot of time to rebuild. And money. But people are rallying and it's very beautiful to see. So just send them lots of love and, our practice, dedicate our practice for them. I'm sure they would all appreciate it. So I think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind, so equally we can create positivity instead. We don't have to be stuck with all those negative thoughts in our head. We actually can do something about them. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech. And then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. We know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance, and we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor and who has the methods we can use to purify. And it's not that we need the Buddha to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So you can imagine Vajrasattva is above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So he's made of this beautiful, radiant, white light. So all this detail that's, that I'm about to read out isn't easy for you to sort of think of. You can just imagine a ball of white, healing light above the crown of your head, and the aspect of, think the energy of Vajrasattva. So he's sitting cross-legged on a white lotus on a moon cushion, and he has a beautiful radiant face, and his eyes are shaped like lotus petals, and they're peaceful, and they're full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left are underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So here we have this little section on compassion. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime down the track. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And now we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification, and we start with the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is a purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's the same as when you walk into a pitch black room, you flick on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So same here, the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness and anger and depression, anxiety, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, grudges, all of this is instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hompe. Vajrasattva samayam nupalaya vajrasattva dina patita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriam Kuruhum, ha 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 ho, Bhagawan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa, Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe, and Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasapa Dina Patita, Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriam Kuruhum, ha 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 ho, Bhagawan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa, Mahasamaya Satra A Hum. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And think that there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. Next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So we're moving to a much subtler level. There's a more energetic level here. So imagine Vajrasattva sends light and nectar and fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy as you recite the mantra again. And Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe. So now feel you're completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the fourth of the four opponent powers, the power of resolve. And this is a really crucial one. This is this determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind. And without this, we're going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. So this determination, this aspiration, if you like, to not harm or to refrain from harming becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new and different directions. So just first of all, rejoice in your efforts coming along here. And I know some of you, it's very late. So it always amazes me. So thank you. And then just rejoice in, It's also late for people in the middle of America as well. So it's really only a reasonable hour, I think, for doing this kind of thing for those of us on the West Coast. But anyway, thank you, everyone. So just rejoice in your efforts. And then think of something you'd like to work on, whether it's, this kind of weird rumination stuff that we do, making up stories about the future, being judgmental, all the, things that, we don't think are harmful, but, perhaps they are. And of course, there's kind of treading on ants and swatting flies and all this kind of stuff. So think of something you'd like to work on, just maybe one thing, shine a light on it for, a couple of minutes, maybe journal. Imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind, melts into light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. And next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on emptiness. So we think in emptiness there is no I, the creative negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So then we'll do our chanting the names of Manjushri, or on our second recitation for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. With pleased and happy attitudes, with joy, their bodies, those of wrathful deities, protectors who assist the Buddha's deeds, their bodies bowing reverently, paid homage to the true awakened one, protector, blessed one, Tathagata, and joining his two palms respectfully, he said before the Lord the following: O omnipresent Lord, for my well-being, with due concern for me and for my sake, that I may reach complete awakening upon the basis of illusion's net. Okay, thank you. And so let's just have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's unmistaken reincarnation, and for all of your own personal teachers. And then I just saw a message from Marion, her sister's in hospital with a lung clot. Her name is Sharon. So let's just send Sharon some love and some healing energy. All right, everybody. Lots of love. Good night.